ever since I was a child, I have a very vivid memory of when I was in like year one. Okay, so this is when I was like 5 years old. In Kenya, I was actually the youngest in my class. I was five, and then when I came to UK, I was like the oldest in my class. But I remember since I was five, there's ever only been two things I've ever wanted to be in my life.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another Pioneers Pathway podcast with me, Sharia, joined as always by my good friend Liam. How are you doing, Liam?
I'm good, thank you. How about you?
All good, Liam, all good. So today we have another guest with us today, Mr. Maazin Fazil. He's, another friend of ours from school, but he also happens to be the co-founder, or the founder, should I say, of a very successful venture. So Maazin, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure.
Maazin, we're delighted to have you on. Can you please tell us a little bit about GoFunnels and what exactly you do?
So yeah, so since we last saw each other, which was for about 4 years ago, I think, I've been busy, man. I've been grinding. Yeah, so I've been working on a few things, a few ventures, but GoFunnels has definitely been one of the ones that has blown up the most. And now most of my time is on it. And GoFunnels, what we do, we help marketing agencies, we help coaches, we help consultants, just different types of businesses. We are basically what I like to call the CIOs. We come in as the chief infrastructure officers. We are building out the entire backend systems. Their funnels is one of them. The automation systems, with AI going crazy, we're building out AI systems and everything. So we're building like this technology, this marketing infrastructure and technology, and we're like their back end team, so that when the marketing team turns on the ads or whatever they're doing, these systems in place to take on the traffic, make sure everything's working properly, is streamlined, is optimized, and also making sure there's higher conversions. And with high conversions, as you may know, that means higher sales, higher revenue. So that's what we're doing. We are helping businesses scale, giving them more capacity and giving them the systems and the knowledge to grow as well.
So initially, you started out, helping companies design their sales funnel, and that's a very important thing to ensure conversion. There's a very famous book on it that we mentioned before we started, which is .com Secrets by Russell Brunson. So, how should you define an effective sales funnel in today's market?
So I think the first place to start is, what is a funnel and how do you differentiate a funnel from a website? I think everyone's very used to seeing a normal website. You go somewhere, www.something.com, and you see a website, right? A funnel is, first of all, it's more than just the landing page. When people think of funnels, they just think of the page. But it's think of a funnel. A funnel is a system in which you're trying to get traffic from the beginning to funnel down and become a conversion. Okay. How you do that now, that's where the systems come in. So one of them is a landing page. So rather than having a traditional website, you have a landing page where the thing you're selling, the service or the product, it's only one page with that service and product. And the only buttons, the only call to actions is the next stage of the funnel, which in this case would either be to book a call or purchase this product or the service, whatever it may be. With traditional websites, you go to the pages like an about us, what we do, who we serve, our clients, like all these different pages. Like it, as a lead, you go there, you're confused, you don't know where you're going. But with the funnel, it's very straightforward. There's only one thing you can do, and that's go to the next step. So that's with the landing page, sorry. So now when you add that into a funnel, you're getting traffic to come into the landing page. There's only one way to go. So they have to go to the next stage, boom, boom, and then eventually they come out as a client or they just don't come out as a client. So that's what a funnel is essentially.
Maazin, sorry, just to sort of bring yourself backwards because obviously you've done so much and you're still pretty young, right? You are you've done so much in these past years. But I just wanted to bring you back to before starting. What was your childhood like? Your experience growing up? Were you sort of exposed to experience? And then where did you have the first idea? Was there an instance? Was there sort of like a light bulb moment? What really happened which caused?
Yeah, so I was born in Kenya, okay, so East Africa. I grew up there. I'm a third generation Kenyan, so my father, my grandfather, they're all from Kenya. Moved to the UK when I was 14, so back in 2015. That's when I joined, school John 9, and you guys were there as well. Um, and ever since I was a child, I have a very vivid memory of when I was in like year one. Okay, so this is when I was like 5 years old. In Kenya, I was actually the youngest in my class. I was five, and then when I came to you guys, like the oldest in my class. But I remember since I was five, there's ever only been two things I've ever wanted to be in my life. One of them was only because I was I was 5 years old and I thought it was cool. I wanted to be a paleontologist, someone who discovers dinosaurs. But that's just because I used to love dinosaurs. That like wore out very quickly. By year three, I didn't care anymore. And then, but the other thing I've always ever wanted to be was a businessman since I can remember. That's all I've ever wanted. I've always known I'm going to do business. I've always had the mentality that I can't work for another, like I can't be an employee. I can't work for another business. If I'm going to spend time building someone's company, I'm going to build my own company instead. That's how I've always been since day one. I think the reason I've been like that is because it's kind of been instilled in me from a very young age. My father was also a businessman. My family, they've always been entrepreneurial. With my father, like he had a company in Kenya, which that's like kind of downsized now. It's not really doing much, but uh, that was there back in the day. So I've always been entrepreneurial. I've always had that entrepreneurial spirit of being my own kind of boss and things like that. So in John 9 in school, I took econ, I took business. Those are subjects that interested me for like A levels. I took art as well for A levels, but I only took art because I knew I'd get an A star. So that's again strategic thinking over there. And then yeah, I went to Loughborough University, did business there as well. I don't think university was for me. I don't know if it's some kind of cheesy thing that entrepreneurs drop out. But in this case, I mean, I had a reason to drop out, right? I was building Go funnels in the background. I was building Jari in the background. So I had a reason. So I took the leap. I took the risk. I dropped out, and I would say paid off quite well. But that's a little bit about how we got here. In terms of in school, I don't know if you guys remember, but like I was trying out things as well. I started an app called Tamu when I was in GCSEs year 16, something like that. It was supposed to be like an app, which sounds dumb now, but back then nothing like this existed. It was supposed to be an app that you go to restaurants, you order your food before you get there. When you come, the food is served essentially. And it was a very interesting concept because we were too early and too late at the same time. We were too early because it was pre-COVID and like no one had this in place and it was hard to sell it. Like we used to go to restaurants, man, on like the weekends and try and sell it. It was hard. And then COVID happened, and then all the big players got in, McDonald's, Uber, wherever, they all built it. And now we were too late because we didn't have that capital. So we were a very interesting position, maybe one of the people who thought of the ideas, but then timing was off, and that again taught us very important lessons. So one thing I like to say to people as well, kind of just to segue back into this, because as you did mention, we are young, is if you are someone who wants to get into business, try and get into business as young as you can and make mistakes as early as you can. I've been being an entrepreneur since I was 16 years old, and I'm 23 now. So those years, do the math, how many years that's been. I've been making mistakes all those years, failure after failure after failure. I've tried so many different things on my own. I've tried drop shipping. I've tried, starting a clothing brand, all that kind of stuff everyone thinks about. I failed all of them. Marketing agency, coaching, kind of, courses, all that kind of stuff. But the difference here between an entrepreneur and an everyday person is you don't see it as a failure, you see it as a lesson. Okay. So try and get as many failures as you can, rack up as many failures as you can, because each failure is a lesson and you'll learn something along the way. The stuff we learned when Tamu failed, you cannot learn that in school. The stuff I learned, with the other stuff that failed, you can't learn that in school. You can't learn that in university. And those, you rack those up, those become lessons, that becomes life experience. Then eventually you reach a point where, you can build a beautiful brand and you can build a company and, you have the knowledge and the know-how. So yeah, if you're young and you want to get into business, get into it young, rack up as many losses because each loss is a learning curve. It's part of the learning curve. Rack up those skills, those XP, and you'll get better and better and better.
So
To me, sorry, just a quick one to follow on from that. In terms of you've obviously had a plenty of experience, failures, lessons learned, things like that, and you got to the point when you obviously came up with the idea of GoFund. can you tell us a bit about where that came from and sort of the idea behind that? Maybe something
Absolutely.
that happened which has caused you to go into this field. And sort of the early stages in the GoFunnels journey. Like, how was that? What were the lessons you learned there as well?
Absolutely. So one thing I'll say is the best businesses or businesses that do well in the long term are businesses that actually solve a problem. Okay. And that's why you see a lot of like startups or people who do entrepreneurship, they fail early because they just come up with any idea or like, like it doesn't even make sense. And that's what happened with me in the past as well. The reason GoFunnels took off is because it actually solved the problem. This is the problem it solved. When we had our marketing agency, we saw that we were having bottlenecks and issues with the funnel side, the backend side, right? The funnels, the automations, the infrastructure, the AI, that stuff. When we went to marketing agency conferences and spoke to other marketing agency owners, we saw that they had the same problems as well. And also in terms of like the timing as well, like in the landscape, ClickFunnels, Sharia, as you're familiar with, and even go high level, these CRM platforms, these systems, things were starting to take off. So like the timing was right. So we're like, you know what, there's an opportunity here. Let's jump in. Okay. So it started small. In the beginning, we weren't even talking to agencies. We were talking to just coaches and individual businesses, the brick and mortars, like we were ringing them up. Like this is how it's like I remember every morning I'd wake up, I'd have a list, right? Of like businesses in the area, ring them up. Hey, do you need help with getting more clients or increasing conversions or build out infrastructure systems, things like that. Lots of failed attempts, right? Then we started running a bit of ads to get lists of people, to get like information and stuff. We would call them up, we'd email them, things like that. Manual work, and again, no good. And then eventually we got the first one, and then we got the second one and the third one. And then we realized working with these individual businesses doesn't make sense. It's too much work and they're paying us way too little. So we're like, let's shift things a bit and go to agencies. Let's test our agencies. And what we'll do is we will be a white label service where agencies can use us for their clients, but their clients don't know that we exist. They think the agency is doing it for them. So we tried that with one agency and it was doing really well. And we were paying them and they were paying us 5 times more than what a normal brick and mortar client would pay us. Okay. And it was easier, it was less hassle, more appreciation, because these individual business owners and coaches sometimes they just don't give you appreciation. And then like there was a shift in mentality, like, okay, let's lean more towards these agencies. So then we started doing more ads specific to agencies. We started kind of rebranding to be a bit more of a white label service, things like that. And then slowly, surely, more agencies started racking up. And then a lot of more referrals came in from agencies, and slowly like that, things grew. The team grew because now we had more work than we could handle. We needed to scale. So we needed to hire more people. We needed to hire designers, funnel builders, strategists, manage the team. In the beginning, it was hard finding the right team, right? You had to go to Indeed, you had to go to LinkedIn, all these places, look for people looking for jobs, interview them. It was like hard to hire, easy to fire. You're gonna hire them slowly and take your time, but if they mess up, you get rid of them quickly because you need to build a very important culture from the get-go in your business. And then again, as things grew, hired more people. I started to kind of take myself out of it more. So like I remember when I used to like do the funnel designs myself and do the stuff myself, I kind of took a step back and just stuck to sales. And then what happened is now as you grow, each person starts to be a bit more specific with what their tasks are. And yeah, now I do sales. There are people in place who do the day to day. There are people who keep the clients happy. There are people who manage the team. There are people who, do the strategy. In fact, like even with like the sales, like I'm in the process of getting. This is a funny story, but this person as well. He used to go to Jordan with us, but I'm in the process of getting one of them to join my team as my sales rep, essentially. So that's interesting. So now we've gone from being in school with people to making them join your team and grow a business with you.
So lots of things to dissect there. First of all, I want to, understand is what did you do special to, acquire your clients? And the second thing is obviously you had that shift from targeting brick and mortar to going for agencies. So was that down to you changing your definition of the ideal customer? Because you see this mention of the ideal customer, it's spoken about by many entrepreneurs in their books, etc. So was that, is that your sort of, attempt at it?
Yeah, so this is a very important part stage of business that no one talks about, and that's the testing phase. Okay, there's a lot of testing that goes into a business, and the positioning of a product and an offer. Okay, so you have a service and offer product. How is it positioned in the market? And that comes to also with the clients, right? That you're trying to go for. If you're going for individual businesses, you're going to try and position it differently. If you're going for an agency, you're going to try and position it differently. We got our first agency client. It wasn't on purpose. It was just like, hey, we're an agency, by the way. We like your service. Can you just do it for our clients too? I'm like, okay, fine, we'll charge you, 5 times the price. We didn't expect it to go through, but it did. And then we realized, what, actually, this is better. So sometimes, again, it's about taking risk. It's about just doing things. In the beginning, you'll see this a lot. Business owners, they try to take on everything they possibly can because they need to. They don't have money. They don't have capital. They need the money, they need the experience, so they just take on every project that they can. Someone will come from here with this, someone will come from here with that. They'll just take everyone on. In the beginning, that's fine because you want to try and understand actually as a business what are your core competencies and what you just don't do good at, and then you start to throw away your core competencies. You stop doing that, and you started to hone in and double down on the stuff you are good at, and that's what happened. We realized we were very good with the back end stuff with agencies, so let's focus on that. And then because of that, our ideal client changed and our offer had to reposition itself and restructure itself. And because we did such a good job fine-tuning the offer after so long, like the final agency offer, by the way, only got finalized like this year, January. Okay. The whole year before that, like, we were break even the whole year, like doing slow months, like 10K months or less, and just stuck. And it took a year of repositioning. Feedback from clients is so important. You need to be able to ask people for feedback and take it and not get offended by it, not be biased by it. You need to build your own in-house team and infrastructure. Invest when you make money. Don't buy something with it, or Lambo, whatever, or crypto. Get team members, get managers, build your infrastructure. And what happens is it's a long game, but you have to be patient, right? So for the first year, hardly making any profits, and then boom, January hit, the offer was perfected, and from January to now, we've 10x. Okay, so and it's only growing more and more, and it's just like that. You got to reposition, you got to take feedback, and with the feedback, reposition, restructure, improve the offer. It's a constant cycle, a constant loop of improving, repositioning, and taking feedback. And that's how then you change customer profiles, you change offers, and things like that.
Great. So the key part of growing, like you mentioned, is that obviously you start off small, you take on every project, you do absolutely everything as a founder. But how do you, obviously you have a huge team behind you now. So how do you transition from being a solopreneur to, being a team leader?
Yeah, so this is actually a big problem, and I know it is because my brother faces this. Okay, it's when you're an entrepreneur, you're in the trenches. When you're the founder, you're in the trenches. It's very hard to get out. It's very hard to let other people do it. It's very hard to trust others to do what you're doing because you feel like you're the only one who can do it right. Okay. And this is a big problem entrepreneurs face. And it's actually the thing that caps them from moving to the next stage. Now, luckily for me, I've always been the kind of guy that I want to just delegate wherever I can. Like, I want to get out of it as quick as possible. That's just how I've always been. So I would be thinking, like, man, I can't wait. Let me tell you, I hated calling people. I just hate it. I don't like it at all. I'm amazing on sales calls and Zoom, but the idea of ringing up someone, waiting, and then sometimes they pick up, sometimes they don't, and then sometimes they abuse you. And this has happened, man. By mistake, I called someone at 5 a.m. in the morning in America, and he was very angry. He abused me, and like he actually booked a call, but he's like, "No, I'm not working you guys. You're too desperate to be calling me." But whatever. I ignored him. But yeah, like some people have things they like, some people don't like. I don't like getting on calls. So in the beginning, you have to just push through it, man. It doesn't matter what your feelings are. And yeah, you do the other stuff as well. You learn. The beginning is about taking on a lot of work, learning, see what you're good at, see what the problems are. Sometimes you don't even know the answer to the solution. You just take on the work and then you figure it out later once they've paid you. And that's good. That's how you learn. That's how you put yourself in the deep end, the trenches, so you can actually learn. So you should, as an entrepreneur in the beginning, find ways to throw yourself into the deep end, into with the sharks, swim with the sharks a bit, because you can't be comfortable in the beginning. You need to be in the deep so that you're in trouble, so that you actually find a way to figure out what to do. Okay, obviously be responsible with it. Don't like put money on the line and take debts, and stuff like that to figure it out. But like technically speaking, um, and like with knowledge, and then as you get the first few clients, then you have some money, reinvest straight away, build a team, see who you want to replace yourself with, so you can do more. So as a founder, there's the 80-20 rule. All right, what are the 20% of things you're doing that produces 80% of growth? Okay, for me, it was taking sales calls, and that's it. The rest, like, get someone else do that. So yeah, obviously now we've put a place where we have a very specific training process. Like, we don't just hire anyone. We hire only the best of the best, and then we train them up and everything. But to get to that point, like, it took, like, in the beginning, because again, we didn't have money, right? We would hire like noobs, basically, they didn't have experience, nothing, and we would spend hours and days training them up to our level, and we would do that over and over. But now it's reached a point where the people we had at the beginning, these guys are like elite level now, and now every new client, every new team member we get, these guys are now training them. So again, it's like building up to that stage.
Did you find that you have good retention with your staff? Was that an issue? Because obviously,
with our staff,
people come and go. HR is not easy. Do
yeah,
you maintain the retention? How can you maintain retention?
Yeah, so I would say when it comes to that, there's one thing that's extremely important, and that's culture. Okay, business culture is so important. It's like make or break for some of these people. Some of these people have come from higher paying jobs to be with us, even if it's paying less, because of the culture. First of all, we're fully remote business. We have no offices anywhere. Okay, so that on its own is a perk for some people. They can work from wherever they want in the world. Okay, we don't have like strict, like when we give a task, we expect it to be done. We're not going to breathe down your neck and give you you have to be online 8 hours. We don't care about that. Like, just get the work done. Again, that's another benefit. And then also just we built a culture where feedback is encouraged. Taking feedback is encouraged. A lot of people, they get offended when you give them feedback or you kind of tell them off because they made a mistake. And that's a problem. There's no room for growth if there's no room for feedback. So we've built a culture where taking feedback is part of it. If like, we will give feedback in our group chats and things like that in front of everyone, and it's fine. They take it like A players and they move on and they do better. We have different threads. We use Slack for our team, and we have different kind of channels. We have team wins, client wins, team lessons, things like that. And when we need to reward the team, we reward them, right? If they do an amazing job, we let them know, guys, this was amazing. Shout out to, you. We have a client wins thread where literally every time a client says an amazing thing about our team, or they say something like, wow, this is amazing on the side, like copy paste, like screenshots. Like every day there's like screenshots of client wins that motivates the team to see, because they've seen their how hard they're working, they've seen the results of it.
Do you think this is unique to a remote company like yours, or is there creating these things which kind of you can bring into any startup, any sort of business when it comes to culture?
No, I think it's not, obviously, like how we're doing it is unique to remote because we're not in the same office or room. But I think culture is one of the things you need to define from the get-go. Like, before you start your business, you need to understand what is your culture going to be, because it's like building a building, Liam. The foundation, it's the foundation. You need to have the base built out, and then put the structures up and everything. The culture is the foundation, because to change a culture while you're scaling or later on in time, very difficult, very time consuming, very resource heavy. And you need to set that up as part of your objective. Like, when you're thinking, okay, what's my business going to do? What's my objectives for the business? You need to set up culture as well. So it's very important to do in the beginning. And if you have a clear definition of what that's going to look like, then yeah, it shouldn't be a problem. You'll make sure when you hire people in the beginning, you hire people that will fit into your culture. When you take on clients, you'll take on clients that will allow you guys to keep that culture going. Like, for example, we don't take on specific clients because it doesn't meet with the culture of our company. Like, we don't take clients that trade in like alcohol or trade in like nightclubs or things like that, because that's against our culture, like our business culture. We don't hire specific people who maybe have some specific trades or some whatever, because it'll affect our culture. So we have a very important culture and we need to protect it, because once a culture breaks, once there's like opposition in there or whatever, that's when things start to break from the inside. And if you're not a well-oiled machine, you're not going to be optimized, you're not going to keep your clients happy, and they're going to get churn, you're going to lose clients. And obviously, if you have a good culture, people will be happy. I mean, we have people who've been with us from the beginning. It's almost 2 years now. They've been with us from the beginning. You know, they've had kids while they've been with us. They've been married while they've been with us. They've grown so much while they've been with us, and they're never going to leave because they just love it being with us, basically.
Do you ever meet these people? Do you ever meet them face to face? Is that something that you've
I've
ever
not.
done?
I haven't met any of them yet, just through Zoom. We've seen their
Okay.
faces, but God willing, I plan to go to like some of these places like Pakistan and stuff, because we're gonna hopefully build up offices for the team there. So we're gonna have like an office where the team can go and have a place to work.
So it's very evident, you've had, lots of wins and your team is, highly motivated because of these wins. But, running a business, it's not always an uphill thing. It's a roller coaster, right? So how do you
Yeah,
manage team morale in these, in case when there are challenging times?
that's a good question. So like for example, like a few months ago, reached a period of stagnation, right? Like there was no growth. Like I think for 2 months, I think we ended up actually like we churned so many clients, like 5 clients or something, and like the revenue went down by a bit. And those were, I mean, like difficult periods. But in periods like that, you need to understand first of all that with business, it's never uphill, right? It's like a stock graph or like a crypto graph. It's gonna go up, and then there's seasons where it goes down, and then up, and then down. But as long as uh the lows are higher lows, that's all that matters. Okay. Now, what happens when you're in those higher low periods? Some people like to let go of their staff. Some people absorb the financial burden and keep the staff, and that's what we do. And we motivate them by, first of all, how we motivate them is very important. We don't just motivate them like financially and stuff like that. As I said again, the culture. They are very self-motivated, by the way. Like they're team members that will work on the weekend because they want to work on the weekend, not because we told them or we forced them to. Like if there's a client and they're a bit delayed, they'll work on the weekend to fix up. And I know of people that have such strict kind of cultures and strict timings that they're like, you have to be in the office by between 9 to 5, and I know like someone who's like, my boss only wants me in the office of 9 to 5. If he ever calls me in the weekend or anything after 9 to 5, I'll be like, bro, this is not my working hours. Don't call me. So like that will never happen with my team. I can call my team at 8 p.m. in the morning, at night, and I'll, hey bro, can you just quickly jump on the call and ask a question? He's like, yeah, sure, let's do it. So what keeps them motivated, again, as I said, is the fact that it's like fully remote. That's a huge bonus, by the way, for people like in the third world. That's a huge bonus to these guys. Obviously, the money, right? So people who are living in third world countries, $1,000 is huge money for them there. $600 is huge money for them there. That's again another motivation. And the culture is the third biggest motivation. The people they're like with brothers, they're with family, they're growing, they're helping. It's like a brotherhood. They're helping each other grow, they're helping each other get better, learn. Like you don't want to leave that. You've built a connection of family. You don't want to leave that anymore. Like if someone's offering you a bit more, is that worth leaving the culture and the family that you have here? And this has happened, by the way. I've One of my team members, who's an amazing team member, this client was trying to poach him, right? He was trying to pay him more to make him leave our company. And instead of leaving, he came to us and said, guys, like this guy's trying to poach me. Like who does that unless they're motivated to stay there, unless they love the culture? That's the power of culture. It stops your best from leaving if someone tries to take them, because why should I leave for more money? What about this? What about the brotherhood I have here? What about the team, the family I have here? I don't want to leave them, you know? So I hope that answers the
Just
question.
just a quick question on that. Obviously, you operate remotely. So how do you maintain that culture when you have different team members in different parts of the world? Because obviously, if you're in an office, it's a lot easier to have everyone together. Everyone knows each other and their function. If everyone's in a different part of the world, that culture can get a little bit, it might not, be to the same level if you sort of get my point.
Yeah. So one way we have combated that is, first of all, company-wide, we have a set time zone where you have to work. So it doesn't matter where you're from, whether you're from this side of the world or this side of the world. As a company, we work EST time zone. Okay, so New York time zone. That's because like 99% of our clients are from America. So it doesn't matter if that time zone means you're up at night or up in the early hours of the morning. That's our time zone. You have to be like, that's one of the requirements. You have to be working and available during those times. Okay, so that negates problems of like time zone issues. In terms of like keep managing, like in the beginning it was us because it was a small team member, but as the team grew, we got like someone who's like our head of team and operations. Like he's the guy who's hiring people, making sure they're happy, taking care of their problems, things like that. So we just put someone in place to take care of. Yeah. Yeah, I hope that answers that question.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Maazin, in the interest of time, we're going to move on to our next section where we sort of ask a few rapid fire questions. I'm going to get you to expand on a few here and there. We call this section the investors call. So, are you sort of ready for that?
Yes, I think this is a good timing because I only have, I think I'll have to hard stop in the next 3 minutes. So let's go
Sure,
for it.
sure. Let's make it quick. So, biggest myth about entrepreneurship.
Shall I say that again?
Biggest myth about entrepreneurship.
Biggest what?
Myth.
Myth.
Or biggest myth? That it's easy. That, oh, I'm coming in, I'm gonna be my own boss, I'm gonna do nothing. Bro, when I was working out, when I was in the beginning, I was doing like 13, 14-hour days, man. Like that's how crazy it was. Only as, yes, as you scale and grow, then you can have more time to yourself because you're delegating more. But it's not easy, you know. It's a time investment and it's a money investment. And if you don't have those two to give, then you shouldn't be an entrepreneur. This, like, I would say this genuinely, there's some people who are better off working a 9 to 5 because they will have structure in their life, they'll make a good living, they'll keep their family fed and happy. If you're the type of person that can't take risks or that can't give their money and their time and their effort, I don't think you should be an entrepreneur.
What entrepreneur you look up to and why?
Wow, I don't think I look up to any entrepreneur, to be honest, because I don't really I don't really look up to people, to be completely honest with you. Like, you know that saying, "Don't meet your heroes; they'll let you down." I don't really look up to anyone in that sense. I know where my path is and I'm trying to follow it. Do I get inspiration from some people because of like the businesses or what they've done? Sure, absolutely. People like Alex Hormozy is cool. By the way, we've done some stuff for like Gym Launch. They've been one of our clients. People like I have a few like family. Like I'll tell you, I look up to my dad. You know, in terms of how he, like I would say, he's ahead of his time for what he used to do when he went Kenya. How he ran his company and how he like took care of his team and the culture. I would say a lot of that has kind of dropped into what we're doing as well. So I would say I look up more towards like my family members, like my father, my brother for sure. He's been an amazing mentor to me more than like other external people.
The best advice you've ever received?
The best advice I ever received was when I asked someone, what's the one thing you should do to improve your business? And you know what the answer he gave me was? Ask a better question. So
Okay.
my best advice is ask better questions. Don't ask, oh, what's the one thing? There's too many things, variables. There's too many variables. So yeah, just ask better questions when you're asking an entrepreneur something.
Well, Maazin, it's been an absolute pleasure to have you on today. Can you just tell our listeners more about where they can find your work and how they can reach out to you?
Yeah, you can reach out to me on LinkedIn, Maazin Fazil. You can reach out. I'm also starting on YouTube, so at Maazin Fazil, if you search that, it should be there. And I'm also on TikTok at Maazin Fazil, so you can reach out to me there. But mostly LinkedIn if you really want to connect at a more professional level.
Great, Maazin. Thank you so much.
All right, Sharia. Thank you, Sharia. Thank you, Liam.